Hi, Ross Fletcher here. I was the voice of Seattle Sounders FC from 2012 through until 2015, 4 seasons in Major League Soccer in the Pacific Northwest. For me, being a soccer fan is a rite of passage. From England, everybody is a soccer fan. And I got into soccer broadcasting and broadcasting itself at 16. Did 16 years with the BBC, was invited to come and work for Seattle, and that's how I got to the great Pacific Northwest. I think one of the things that's unique about Sounders fans is march to the match. And you see that before every home game, thousands of people lining up in Occidental to then all go in unison and in one to march to the stadium. If you go to England, you don't get that really. You get people milling from maybe the pubs and the bars towards the stadium, but in kind of an unorganised fashion. There's nothing wrong with that, of course, but the highly organised fashion of march to the match just gives you a tingle, gives you a shiver down the spine every time you see it. These people chanting in unison, they're raucous, they're passionate, they're up for it. And to see that train, that snaking train of thousands of fans all going to the game, is something unique. Never seen it when I was in England, where I'm from. I've not heard about it, say, in Mexico. I don't see it anywhere else in Major League Soccer. It's something that is unique to Seattle and what makes the supporters in the city stand out from anybody else in the world. If you go to a game in England and the away support turns up, that's different to MLS. Those people haven't had to travel as far in the country maybe, sometimes only 20 minutes, sometimes 10 minutes down the road to be there. So the away fans can be there in larger number, but they'll all march in unison, the reason being because they have to for their own safety, and the police will escort them into the crowd. So that's a very different march to the match, which is not organised in the same way at Seattle as it is, because at the front of this group of maybe 500 fans are police officers on horseback and police riot vans marching these people into the stadium. That's a very different scenario to what you have here, that kind of organic fan support. These people want to do it together because there is a community that says this is a really cool thing to do. Why not? And it's continued ever since day one, and I really hope when I'm long gone that it's still there, because it's a ritual that Sounders fans should really hold dear to their heart because of the uniqueness of it. It's part of what makes soccer in Seattle so great. In my first season with the Sounders, I remember one night that really sticks out, actually, and it was down in San Francisco. It was the US Open Cup, and it was almost a bloody gladiatorial battle in Kezar Stadium. The quarterfinal was against San Jose Earthquakes. The Earthquakes had moved the game to San Fran for whatever reason, and it was in a stadium run by the San Francisco Parks Department. Old, run down, 40, 50 years ago the 49ers played there, but right now, kind of place where you go and exercise your dogs. And there was a small but hardy bunch of Sounders fans there in this almost Romanesque amphitheatre. A very odd place, running track around it, then this, as I say, almost Roman feel to it, with some arches on the left-hand side of the stadium and the fans just to the right of them, miles away from the field. And it had a really kind of surreal feeling to it. And the game, as I mentioned, ended up with there being the odd punch thrown, player sent off, lots of acrimony, San Jose fans trying to run down the tunnel to get at the Seattle players because of the bad blood, with the Sounders also running away with a 1-0 victory. Now the Sounders fans wanted to celebrate what was quite a momentous game, and as luck would have it, they went to a bar only a couple of blocks from where our hotel was. And I think one of the fans maybe tweeted me and said, "Hey, do you fancy coming down for a beer to celebrate with us?" And it had just been one of those strangely euphoric games that had everything. So your adrenaline's still running high, and as a broadcaster, you get that crash after a game. You've been so amped up, you're concentrating so intently for such a long period of time because of the nature of the sport. No breaks like football or basketball, pretty much you're always going, that you've been so wired, you then go, "Oh, I'm done," wiped out, fall asleep, adrenaline gone. But this night had so much to it, I thought, yeah, I'd love to go out for a beer with these guys. And it was mainly ECS fans. and turned up, didn't know what to expect, only been in the job 3 or 4 months. As I walked in, they all knew my face, knew my voice, it was, "Yay! Let's all have a beer or two." And instead of getting this crash from the adrenaline going, those guys fueled me on until I think the wee small hours. And we were just telling stories, just telling tales, kind of how I'd found Seattle early on, what I'd been doing before, how these guys and gals had got into Seattle supporting. And it was just one of those really rich, unconstructed nights that turned into a quality evening, and that really helped me grow my bond with the fans. It felt like I'd been accepted by these people as an outsider, and that will always stay with me. One of those rare evenings that you don't plan, but just turns into something really, really good. So great. So ask an Englishman if they like curry. It's like saying, do you like soccer? But if I was going to recommend one, I'd probably say Capitol Hill on Broadway. There's a little Himalayan place called Annapurna, and you have to find it on the corner of the street. It's just across from where they're building part of the new tram system. And it's a hidden gem, I think. Annapurna, you guys get my shout.